Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready for Broker Talks.
What's up, guys? Today we have another episode, and this is a very special episode because I'm here with one of my mentors. He taught me how to buy and sell businesses. His presence alone just motivated me. He would come in with a suit, a tie. I can't thank him enough for being here. We have Richard Menchel in the house. Thank you so much, and I look forward to getting started.
When you walk in, if you look like you need help, it's much harder to get something. If you walk in and people are impressed the way you might.
You used to walk in. I remember we went to a listing, and you brought me there. And you walked in, shirt, tie, red tie, black suit, white shirt. You know, very nice shoes. And we had great conversations in the car that day about your father, and just like, you know, blew me away just learning about everything you told me. But we went into the meeting, and the guy looked at you and was like, you know, so impressed by like what you were wearing. I remember he was like, look at this guy. And then I think that's what, like, immediately he trusted you.
A lot of people are impressed by first impressions.
Yeah.
You know, that's why it's called an impression.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be dressed meticulously. My father was meticulous because in the way my father was. Forget about it. My father spent more money on clothing in the 40s than people spend now on clothing.
Wow. Well, he was So he met people as well. Like, what did he do?
My father was a very, very big bookmaker.
Okay.
He was partners with every.
Could say it, yeah.
Wise guy that was around and existed.
In Brooklyn?
Brooklyn, Manhattan, everywhere. But all the people that you read about...
Like the Chin, Vinny the Chin?
Yeah, I know the Chin.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
You've seen him in person?
Yeah.
Wow.
Every wise guy you can think of, to me it was... That's Vinny.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's, or whoever the person was, I knew him on a first-name basis, and I wanted to be part of that. He told me I couldn't. He wanted to go home and take care of
Your father told you that, or Vinny told you that?
My father.
Did he know?
I could have been part of him like that.
How about Salerno? You met Tony Salerno?
No. But I knew of him. But every wise guy and every underworld guy knows almost everybody else.
But your father, he was a Jewish guy. He knew all the Italians.
All his partners were he was at the beginning of what they called the mafia.
Yeah.
But he didn't.
Was he with Meyer Lansky?
Oh, he knew Meyer Lansky when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Meyer Lansky came from the same. Meyer Lansky, my grandmother lived on a block that Clinton Plaza was there.
Is that in Brooklyn?
No, that's the east side.
Oh, east side.
East side of New York. But that's where they were east side.
So you knew Bugsy and Lansky?
Bugsy Siegel, yeah. Their names, who knows?
But he taught you a lot about business?
No. He taught me to be honest in business and treat people honestly, and it'll come back to you. Don't let anybody do the wrong thing with you, and you don't do the wrong thing with anybody else.
Yeah.
And
that's why you're so successful, because you've always done the right thing by people. No matter what, even if it's bad news, you tell them. And in our business, in selling businesses, there's a lot of news that's not good sometimes, where the buyer will walk away, or the contract doesn't get signed, or maybe they're at a closing. Have you ever been at a deal where they're at the closing and they walk away?
Yes. Yes, I was at a closing where the buyer and the seller I'm taking my jacket off.
Yeah, take your jacket off.
The buyer and the seller had a fight, an argument, and I'm trying.
The buyer and the seller?
Yeah, they had an argument, and I'm trying to calm them down, and I'm saying, my God, I'm saying to myself, that Michael, what's going on here? This is stop. How do you stop this? And they almost had a fist fight going on here.
The buyer and the seller?
Yeah, I couldn't calm them down.
Wait, why though?
I don't even remember why.
Is it over price?
I don't even know how it got into it. but they started arguing with each other. And finally, I said, fellas, listen, let's postpone this meeting a little bit. Let's come back. Because I knew I'm not getting
attorneys there too?
Well,
the attorneys were there too?
Yeah. I said, let's come back in 2 days. I knew we're not going to get it signed there. I just knew it because I thought any second they're going to kill each other. So when I got on the phone afterwards and we made it in 2 days, I got on the phone. I told one guy that the other guy was obnoxious, and I told the other guy was
You got to be a good guy to both sides.
I said, listen, you're getting angry. This is only money.
What kind of business was this?
I don't even remember. I think it was a liquor store. And we're two bad guys. I'm telling you, I wound up, I was positive that I'm going to have a problem. So we came back and we closed it and everything was fine.
Did you get the full commission?
Yeah, sure I did.
Yeah. Well, sometimes people try to negotiate you at the table.
It happens a lot.
Yeah, what happens if someone says, I only can pay you, the commission's 100, I'm only going to give you 70?
Then we won't make the deal.
And then they'll walk out, right?
You can do what you want. And then I'll do what I want. There are rules, there are laws that protect you for this. This is what you signed for. I did my job. I got you what you wanted for the place. We set on a number. You wanted 800, and we priced it at 850 or 900. I'm just using figures now.
Yeah.
I got you what you wanted. So give me what I deserve and what I'm supposed to get. You don't want to see the bad side of me, and I don't want to see the bad side of you.
Yeah. And then people would sometimes they would come back to you.
Don't come back to me. But I have settled already.
Yeah.
I have settled.
Oh yeah.
That's between you and I.
Yeah, I've settled too.
I've settled. I mean, listen, where I was due $135,000, and I wound up settling for 100.
For 100.
Yeah, I wound up settling. I didn't have to settle, but wound up settling. And I was thinking to myself, by the time I get finished with the attorney, with the lawyers,
it's not worth it.
I'll sue him for $300,000.
Yeah.
And I'll get $80,000.
So the lawyer makes all the money.
I'll have to give $40,000 to the lawyer. I'll end up with nothing. So but most people are honorable. Most people are honorable, but there are people.
But today's day of age is a little bit like. I feel like when did you start selling businesses? What year?
1902. No. When did I start selling businesses?
Well, you didn't start. Your whole career wasn't selling businesses. You started at.
Please, I was.
When did you start? You went to you were in the Army, right? And then when you came out, and what happened? Like, who were you at that time?
I was in the Army. Then I had a very big makeup company. I started the Home Party for cosmetics.
Wow.
I started the Home Party.
In the city, New York City?
I'll tell you what happened. I came out of the Army, and I had a parking lot. I was telling him. My father had friends that were good fellas, and I got a parking lot near the Brooklyn Army base.
Oh, sure.
So we leveled it. I was telling him.
I think we drove past it, me and you, once together.
Yeah, I thought it was between 1st and 2nd Avenue on 52nd Street, I think it was. And I filled up the lot 3 times a day for $3 a car, in and out. And I was making $3,000 a week.
Back in
1956.
So that's probably equivalent to making $15,000 a week.
More.
$20,000 a week.
More than that. It's more, the correlation and the comparison to money today is much greater.
Yeah.
Than you think it was. Of course, I mean, there were people making $50 a week and paying for their family, their rent and their everything.
Making $3,000 a week.
Yeah, cash.
Cash. You, as a 1948, so you were
22 and a half years old.
Wow. So you were making all this money.
Yeah, and I went to the Copa 2 nights a week, and I went to
Copacabana
and the other nightclubs. I was the biggest party guy there was. I had really, I was a party guy because I thought that's the way you're supposed to live.
Yeah. So you were making all this money, and how long did that last for?
Until they closed the lockdown.
Why? Was it a kosher place or no?
No, they opened up the Brooklyn Army base to the public. The cars weren't allowed to come into the base and park. So if your relatives came from overseas, there was no, and you went to the base when the boat came in, you had to park near the base.
Yeah.
I was a block away from the base. I was the closest, and I filled up as I was telling you. What's your first name?
Shiva. Shiva?
Shiva?
Yeah.
I said Shiva for my parents.
You said Shiva.
I knew he was going to say that.
So I'm very familiar with your family. At any rate, the Brooklyn Army base was a great deal. And then after that, so then I went into, I met this guy, Shelley Rabb.
Another Shelley.
Shelley Rabb is the head of one of the largest cosmetic companies in the United States now.
This was after the parking lot?
Yeah.
So you had money? You spent it?
And I spent my money. I spent whatever I made, I spent. My parents, I gave to all my relatives. Didn't mean anything. So at any rate, I went and I did something completely different.
So then you went to makeup?
Yes, I became a hairdresser. And I went to work in Manhattan, and I became a very famous hairdresser. I did a lot of stars.
Really?
Jane Mansfield was my client. Tuesday Weld was my client. She was Jane to me. Jane Mansfield was pretty in person that she was in film. She was very, and I did a lot of stars.
Did you go to school for that? Or
yeah, I went to hairdressing school. I became a hairdresser. And then I went to work with this guy called Larry Matthews in the city. He was the first all-night beauty salon. It was open 24 hours a day.
Wow.
So when I went to work there, I loved it because I went to work at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I worked till 12 at night. That was right up my alley. I liked sleeping. So, and
how old were you during this time? What year was this?
24. This was when I went to work for Larry. I think I was 23 or 24. 23.
Oh, so 1957, 1958.
1958.
58.
I think I went to work for Larry in the city.
So you worked there how long?
I worked there for about 8 years. He became an all-night beauty salon, it became a chain. But what happened is I woke up one day and I was allergic to dye and spray. That's...
How
did that happen, man? What do you mean? I went to the doctor. I had a constant cough, and I went to the doctor, and I'm making all this money, and I have the job.
Was it a good paying job?
Yes, because as a top hairdresser there in those days, I made over $1,000 a week in cash. In those years, that was like a very good job.
Yeah.
And then when I became a manager of the shop, a couple of shops I managed, he gave me a piece of both places. So I was making all sorts of money, and all of a sudden they told me, I can't do this anymore. I said, what do you mean I can't? I said, Doc, no, I'll take the shots. Don't worry about it. Doctor says to me, you can't do that. I said, what do you mean you can't do that? I said, I'll take the shots and I'll be fine. He says, your system is like a sponge. It'll just hold so much of it, and then it won't hold it anymore. He says, what does that mean? He says, you'll have plenty of problems.
So So you had to.
So I felt like throwing myself in front of a car. I said, what am I going to do now?
So what did you do after that?
I did a few other things. I always made money at what I did.
So when did you start selling businesses?
Businesses? Okay. Right after that, I couldn't. I went into the clothing business in a garment center. I had a successful clothing business. I manufactured wigs.
Wow.
I went to Taipei. I was the first one to import wigs, women's wigs that they put on. You know, these wigs. Wigs were old wigs were like $200-$300, $200 or anything. I was the first one that brought in all these better wigs from Taipei and China.
Taiwan?
Taiwan. I went to Taipei. I got off the plane in Taipei, and they're having a parade. I can't believe what's going on there. And I says, what's happening here? I said, what is all this about? They says, it's for you. I said, what do you mean for me? I said, what do you mean for me? Because they built they had like a sports stadium, and they emptied it out, and they started manufacturing wigs there. And the name of the company was M. Richard Hair Goods.
For you? Didn't it to you?
Yeah, it was I went partners with this guy, and I started manufacturing wigs. And I met him, and I met somebody. I went to the council and I met Chinese people, and I went to Taipei. I went to Taipei, at some place to go to. They didn't speak English, and I didn't speak Chinese. But I wound up, my partners were part of the government there, the Chinese government in Taipei. And we started doing real well. And then it became a problem with them. And really, it became a problem with the people. And they started doing underhand things. And you know, with me, if somebody screws me, I don't want to, I don't want to know them anymore. And once you steal from me or take from me,
that's it.
You broke the bond.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had the wig. We did well for a while. I did a lot of things like that.
So after that, when did you start the business broker? What year was that?
Business broker? I had to be 59 or 60 I was.
So about 30 years ago.
Yeah, I started
1991, 1995.
No, it was after 95. It had to be after that. It had to be about 2000.
So you started
2001.
2000.
Well, at Shelley, I went with
Mannheim.
Mannheim, right? I met him.
How did you meet him? How did you meet Mannheim?
I met him through some. My cousin Robert was an attorney.
Yeah.
How
about Lynn?
What?
You met him through Lynn Mannheim?
Lynn Mannheim. She still emails me.
She still sells businesses?
I don't even know what she does, but she emails me once or twice a week. I don't even know. I don't read it even. But she emails me something once, twice a week. Wow, look at the names you come up with. You have some memory, Michael.
Well, we had a lot of. I worked for Mannheim for 2 years.
Yeah.
So you started with him in 2000. You met him, and then did you when you started? You never sold businesses. How did you get started right away?
I went to. I said we were talking, and my cousin said to me, "You would be good in the business world. I think you should go for your realty license, real estate license." I said, "Okay." So I went and I got a license. I went to school and I got a license in Manhattan. I remember I went to school in Manhattan, and then when I came out, I started working, and I found this business very easy. It's not a difficult business.
Did you start with restaurants? Did you start with liquor stores? Did you start with the specific type of business?
I started with everything.
And you started doing mailers right away?
Mailers, no, they weren't doing. He wasn't even giving me. He did nothing for me. What did he do for you? Man, he said, "Hello, Michael."
Yeah. He just always told me that the best location, which he's right about this, is at a corner at a light.
Oh, well, so okay. And chopped liver is good too.
Yeah.
I mean, what does that have to do with
you did everything yourself.
Well, Shelley was a very smart man. He was a smart man in motivating people and painting them up and making them feel, which is important.
Yeah.
For what he does, making them feel important.
He was in the limo, yeah.
But he was not a nice man. He was just not a nice man to me.
No.
He was nice to me till one day I got very upset with him.
I remember, I think I was there.
I really nearly lost it with him one day. And I never get that angry. I don't get angry with anybody if you don't like it, but then you walk away.
Yeah.
But
you were with him for years. You were with him from 2000 to, you were with him for like 13, 14 years.
I made him a lot of money, too. I made him a lot of money.
If you can guess, I know you don't know this, how many businesses do you think you sold at Manheim? Around, do you think over 50?
Yeah, I must have sold, yeah. Yeah.
Maybe 100.
I don't really know. I don't really know the exact figures.
But everything you did was in a notebook, basically. You didn't have a computer system.
There were no computers.
Everything was in just.
And at the beginning of computers, to me, it was like a new world. It was revealing. The young kids today, the young people today, are grown into it and born into it.
Yeah.
The computer was like something from outer space.
How about a phone? You had cell phones.
I did everything. Phone is your livelihood.
Yeah.
And computer's your livelihood. You do everything on a computer today. And
but when someone wanted to see a business, when you got a call from a buyer, the buyer used to come to the office to sign the NDA. You never did anything electronically like it is today. They'd come in, the buyer would have to meet you.
Right.
And then when you met with the buyer, you'd print out the NDA and they would sign it. And then when they signed it, you gave them a piece of paper with the address of the business, or how? I forgot, or was it?
We took them at the beginning. Listen, there's nothing better than taking the people. I got older and I got lazier.
The first time? The first time they see it, you take it?
I called them up and I would tell them where the business is after they signed it. Just go take a look at it. Just take a look at it. If you like it, just call me and I'll go down. We'll meet the owner.
How about if they go when they speak to the owner when they're there?
I would never let them talk to the owner.
How about if you weren't there and that happened?
I would tell them not to do it, but there's people that do it.
And sometimes the owners do it too.
Well, yes, but it makes no difference if you have them signed.
Yeah.
That's why it's important to get them signed.
Yeah.
Michael, I don't have to tell you.
No, of course, of course.
You're the best there is here.
You have to get everyone signed.
You kicked me off the mountaintop.
I learned a lot.
That's what he did. I'm impressed by what I'm really impressed with the way you've done business and the way you do business and what you've done. So, and I don't impress easily. No,
but you motivated me when I was young, and I want to do something for you. I want to do something big for you. I'm trying to think about what to do for you.
Two things. You could buy my house.
What do you...
I'm kidding you. But... listen, I don't know. Just give me leads. Or I don't know what. I don't know why. You know what?
Do you want leads?
I'll do any.
Like good leads. Do you want quality leads? Like say I had someone that wants to sell a liquor store. That's a good liquor store. Would you take it?
Yeah, sure, I would take it. Why wouldn't I take it?
Okay.
I'm still well enough. Unfortunately, my family lives a very long time, and I'm still in good shape.
Yeah.
I beat my wife up once a week, so it keeps me, keeps me moving. No, so I'm happy she doesn't hit me.
So did Shelley never gave us leads?
Shelley never gave us anything.
Yeah.
I don't know how the man stayed in business. He really was.
I was doing mailers and drop notes.
Yeah, right. Drop notes were the best. I still tell you.
You still do them today? Drop notes?
I can't do. I'm 91. You want me to start walking around putting drop notes? They'll be picking me up from the floor.
But drop notes are the best.
Better than mailers. For some odd reason, they are the best way of getting a qualified, good lead. I don't know why. And I don't know the answer. I try to figure it out. But it's a good way. And it's also one of the cheapest ways.
Yeah, attention owner on an envelope.
Right, with the little note inside.
A handwritten note?
No. It was a printed note. A printed note. A hand note would probably be even better.
Yeah, I have hand notes.
A hand note would even be better. A very legible handwriting, a nice looking handwriting. We have, what you put in there, and you tell them.
And you put your card in there too.
Yes, and I would put a card.
Okay. And then they would call you, and you get the best calls off of drop notes.
Michael, this interview is going to be worth about 200 large, so
all right.
I'll take less. Wait, no. You don't have packets big enough for that.
I'll get it. Okay. I'll get it for you.
Okay.
I want to give you something. So.
Okay. Well, we have to do something together.
We have to do something, but I still want to give you something anyway for just helping me, because I just feel that's the right thing to do.
No, I don't want any gifts. I don't want anything. I just want
to
be able to work and make money. Do something that's productive. If I can be productive in any way, if I can be a stimulator, I was thinking about it.
Well, the way you could be productive is, I think we should work a little smarter together. I think we
on what?
I think we should work smarter. I think we should. I have all these people that are at Headstone, right, and they don't know what to do to get started. And I feel like maybe we can have them, or anyone, doesn't have to be anyone at Headstone, come in and just pay for consulting, and we'll help consult them and help them get started. There's more ways we can make money, and we can help and give back to the people, and everyone makes money.
Just tell me what you want to do, and if it's
things like this, like we're talking, like I want to go over on this interview. I want to go over, and then me and you can monetize on it. If this works, we can monetize on it. I want to go over the best ways to get listings, which we said were drop notes. The best ways to speak to people. The best ways to get deals done. Even your folder, going down to your folder where you have an accepted sales binder, which is a letter of an offer. You put everything in a folder with the client's name. I remember you used to do this. The client's name on it.
Where's my attachment?
I'll get it for you. You already have deals.
If money falls out, it belongs to me, Mike. I know. Listen, I told you, if you want something, I could help you with that in any way, because I told you this is an easy business.
Yeah.
And the problem with this business is, you want me to tell you what happens to people?
Yeah.
They become intimidated by the business.
Yeah.
After the first week or two, they see that Michael Steinberg really is very knowledgeable, and how the hell do I get that much knowledge?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? They become intimidated by the business. You have to stop them from becoming intimidated, and you have to tell them it's not a difficult business. All you have to do is work a little, and at the beginning it's not rewarding, but it will become rewarding. Just keep your nose to the grindstone, and you will get paid back for it. And everybody can be a broker.
Yeah.
No matter who they think they are.
You just gotta fail and then learn from it, right?
Right. It's at the beginning it's tough, and there's a lot of questions you don't know, but the business teaches you the business.
But a lot of people make excuses and say, well, how am I supposed to know this, and how am I supposed to know that, and Mike, I need help with this, I need help with that. The way I learn is just going through it and falling on my face.
Right. First of all, how do you learn about a law? What do I know? What do you know about a liquor store? You didn't know, after you sold one or two.
I didn't know what the markups were.
All right. After a while, every business that you sell, you learn. No matter how slow you are, you will learn about that business. You start selling it. This is a $25,000, or maybe a $30,000 interview. And if I'll come back for another interview. If you want, I don't know what I can do with you now.
Well, there's a lot. So I'll tell you a little bit about me that I didn't tell you about. So right now I own Headstone. That's the name of my company. I have about 300 people on the company right now, all remote. You know, the group that you saw, that was called my mentorship program. They're part of Headstone, but I work one-on-one with those people. I give them seller leads. So anyone that wants to sell a business, I give them the lead. Anyone who wants to buy a business, I give them the lead. I teach them, I talk to the leads with them on the calls, and I help them close deals. That's my mentorship program. Everyone there pays $5,000 to me that's at that table in a one-shot fee, and they obviously work for Headstone, and they get a split. So, you know, and I get all those people from the media. Right, so I have about 75 people that paid $5,000 to me in the course of a few months, and they're making deals now. So this is one way we can monetize, and because they're paying $5,000 to me, but everyone, not one person's like, I didn't get value out of this. Everyone is going to make a lot of money because they're learning a skill that they've never had. It's a great skill. And now the real estate's so tough, it's so saturated that people want to learn how to sell businesses. There's 30 million businesses in the United States right now, and there's only 15,000 business brokers in the United States. There's 2 million real estate agents. Think about that difference, 2 million to 15,000. So what I'm doing is I'm disrupting that real estate market. So I'm going after the 2 million real estate agents. I'm telling them, don't make 3-4% on a house. Come and learn how to sell a business. We'll make 10%. I'll teach you, you know, if you want to join my company, I'm going to give you leads. You got to pay, or else, you know, there's people that will pay. So you're going to invest in yourself because I'm going to give you all the resources, and they get a CRM. So I don't know if you know what a CRM is.
No.
A CRM is my database. So anytime we have to send an NDA, they go into the CRM, they click a button, it sends the buyer the NDA electronically, right to their email. They sign it on their phone, the NDA comes back electronically, pops right up on their screen, boom. And then they can go on the CRM, they can see every single listing Headstone has in a map. You can look at a map of the United States, and you see a dot of every single listing where the business is. You click on the dot, the business pops up. It's so cool.
Where'd you learn all this stuff? No, I'm about, you know, but you took it to another level. See, that's what really amazed me in what you did.
Because it was a need. No one was doing this.
I know. I see.
I saw guys like Shelley and Zach Fox. They were making, you know, $300,000-$400,000 a year doing this. I'm like, how do I scale that and make $30, $40, $50 million a year doing this?
Yeah. Right. Right. Because I just couldn't believe what you did. I told Marsha that he took it to another level. And he's wonderful at the business. When I talk with him, I'm really impressed.
I really believe in the space. I believe that it's not going anywhere. And now, do you know, all the baby boomers, they're retiring. All the baby boomers in America, 10,000 baby boomers retire every single day. And 2,500 of them are business owners. And they don't want their kids to have the business. So they need to sell. So that's my demographic, is the baby boomer. So I set them up with an exit plan. And now we're selling all their businesses. And it's unbelievable how many baby boomers, they own plumbing companies, they own roofing companies, they own HVAC companies, and we just sold a plumbing company yesterday for $2 million, 10% fee.
Do you know I worked at a plumbing company?
Really?
My cousin owned B&M component supply. He was a plumber. And for Christmas, when I was a kid, 17, I worked for him during the Christmas vacation, and during the Easter vacation, I worked for him delivering pipes and working in the plumbing supply store. And the rest of the time we played cards, my cousin. We played gin rummy for money, and I was a better card player.
You were a good card player.
Yeah.
You played chess?
I've played it, but I played mostly pinochle. I love pinochle. I played online cards. I'm a card counter, you know that. I've been barred from a lot of casinos.
Oh, you told me about Tell me about a crazy story. This is the last thing, and then we'll stop this. Tell me about your craziest story that you could tell me. I remember you told me about a Puerto Rico story once, where you got kicked out of the casino.
No, I didn't get kicked out of the casino.
No, there was something with the.
I had a fist fight in the casino. All right.
Was that in Puerto Rico?
The El San Juan, the Condado with the.
What happened to get there?
I'm sitting at a table and a guy comes over and he says to me he wants to sit in my seat. So I said, no, this is in essence what happened. He says, can I sit in your seat? I said, no, I'm sitting here. What do you want to sit in my seat? So I said to the pit boss, you want to do me a favor, get this gentleman away from me? That's not quite what I said. But I said, to get this gentleman away from me. So the guy says, well, I want to sit in that seat. I said, what do you mean you want to? I'm sitting here, leave me alone. I was with my wife. And words led to words. I said, do me a favor, get him away from me. He should have called from the casino. And
security, yeah.
The security, and what happened was, one word led to another, and he says, you want to come outside with me? I said, you're biting off more than you can chew. I said, let's not get into that. And he says, you better come outside. And so I got up, I started losing. I got up, and as I got up, I made the first mistake that my father told me, you never make. You never throw the second punch.
No.
You always throw the first punch.
Yeah.
Because if you throw a good enough punch, there's not going to be a second punch. So I got up, and sure enough, he hit me. Knocked off my glasses, and I got up, and I hit him a left and a right, and I broke my hand. I broke my hand over here. And he went down, and the casino does not tolerate fights. You know that.
No, no.
They don't let you. I would never raise my hands to anybody, but if somebody raises their hands to you,
what are you going to do?
What do you do? So what happened is he was laying on the floor there, and I went and I got my glasses, but I'm sure I stepped on him anyway. My wife was with me, and they called me into the casino, into the main office there, and they had the police there, and the casino was the whole thing. And when they played the videotape back, it vindicated me of what I did. I mean, if somebody hits you, there's nothing you can do but hit them back.
Yeah.
So that's what happened in the casino then.
Did they bar you? Did they bar you?
No, because of the video. They had played the video.
But didn't you say the casino barred you?
Oh no, they barred me because of my card counting.
What happened there? How do they catch you doing that?
I'm a card counter. I can tell another card counter.
But how do they catch you doing that?
You can catch anybody. If you're a card counter, when I'm playing at a table, I make certain moves. And when I do that, and when the deck gets to certain counts. So when you're a card counter, you know if you're sitting with another card counter, I've sat down at a table, and all of a sudden, this gentleman and I are increasing our bets at the same time. All of a sudden, he's doing something a little different than he normally does.
Was he part of the casino?
Oh, no, I just meant, no, he wasn't, but that was, no, the casino, the eye in the sky eventually picks up a card counter.
So they picked you up and they brought you in?
You see, now they cannot bar you from a casino in Atlantic City. if you're a card counter. But what they can do, when this deck starts getting rich, they can break the deck down and reshuffle it. So you have no edge.
Got it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I went under different names, and I traveled all over the world to casinos with card counting, but eventually they pick you up as a card counter. Before I card counted, I played. I was a good player, but
How did you learn how to card count?
Well, I went to a school for it, and I read a book at it. And in the class, I became one of the best guys in the class. I was able to pick it up right away because I'm very good with numbers. Like I can multiply.
That's why you're so good at selling businesses. If someone says they do 75,000 a week, and you taught me this too. Like me and you, right away, we know it's over 3.5 million, right there.
Right. I know that immediately.
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah, right.
That's also helps a lot when you're speaking to a seller.
Because they're impressed that you're
Do you think that's a big thing to do? To know is to know numbers.
I was able to do numbers my whole life.
Yeah, me too.
I went to Brooklyn Tech, you know.
Yeah.
Except I couldn't go there. It was too far. We lived in Coney Island as a kid, and I had to get on a bus and then a train to DeKalb Avenue.
It's an hour and a half.
Yeah, an hour and a half, 2 hours in the morning.
Yeah.
And I told you, I used to go to sleep very late at night.
Yeah.
And to get up in the middle of the night to go to school. By the time I got to school, I was in Gaga land. But I did it for about 3 months, and then I went to my father and I said, Dad, and I went to my mother, I said, Mom, I can't go to Brooklyn Tech. I said, why? You can't do the work? I said, the work's a snap. I can't get there. It's too much for me. I'll never live through the 3 years.
That's a lot.
4 years, I'll never live through it.
So we're going to end this thing off. Last thing, which I love hearing these stories. Tell me a mafia story. Do you have any?
No, I don't really have any mafia stories. There was stories. My father was part of the mafia. He was the Jewish guy that had every wise guy as partner in the world.
He never told you any stories?
What?
He never told you any stories? He never told you any stories?
He lived it. He was a
fighter too, right?
Yeah, he was an ex-boxer, my father. He was 5'1". And if I'm telling you, Michael, you would have a problem with him.
You think so?
His hand, your hands are big. His hand was that thick. And he never, one story he told me, and this is the last story I'm telling you today, we're getting down to business now.
Okay, let's do it.
Last story. I go with him in Coney Island, where I was brought up. We go to the Coney Island music shop in Coney Island. And we go to the Coney Island music shop, and he double parks his car. Now, the cars weren't like cars today. This is in 1943, I think. We go to the Coney Island music shop to get a record.
You remember this?
Yeah, I remember this story. I just remember the story. Now, I'm in the car. He goes and he says, I'll be right in. He was going to go in there and get me a record that I wanted to get. He had bought a Victrola for the house. And he left me in the car, and the car rolled a little. And it touched the guy's bumper. It didn't really do anything. Michael, I'm telling you, it didn't do anything to the car.
Yeah.
I would tell you. So my father comes out. Now, you have to remember, my father's 5'1". He's a very little guy. He was exceptionally strong. And he was the wrong guy to get angry. I told you, his hands were like that. So, sure enough, he touches the guy's car. My father comes out, and the guy comes over to him. And I can't really say on camera what the guys, you start cursing my father. Hey, my father says, hey, calm down, fella. All I did was just touch your bumper. It didn't ruin your life. And if there's anything wrong with the car, I'll take care of it. and he got inside, he insulted my father, and he gave my father the finger, the finger in the chest.
Oh, like this?
Yeah. My father proceeded to knock him cold on the floor, and he says, "Comrade, get in the car." I get in the car, and he says to me, "This would be a good lesson for you." He says, "You never start up with somebody because you don't know who they are." That's why always be nice to people. And the guy, we never came back, and the guy, I remember the guy laying there on the floor, and the guy was about 6'1".
Wow. He was 5'1".
Yeah, my father was 5, but I told you, his hands were like
Knocked
this.
him out
You
cold.
couldn't, you shook his hands as big as your hands are, Michael, you would have a problem. But he never insulted. He was, remember, he came from a different world. Well, he came from a completely different world than you come from, or I come from. I give you credit. Yeah, you did this all on your own. And that he had to grow up on the east side of New York when everybody was a wise guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody was like, your strength meant everything. Fighting was everything.
Yeah.
You know. But he never taught us that.
You told me when I saw you last week, when I saw you at Verizon, I asked about your father because you're like, my father adored me.
He did.
I love that when you said that.
My father and my mother, there was no better son than me.
That's amazing. That's everything.
There was no better son to me because my parents were wonderful to me. And I adored them.
That's amazing. That's the most important thing.